What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today I have a drill for you guys that is designed to help accelerate the process of predicting and learning spawns in Team Deathmatch. This is something that I told you guys I would be doing in my spawn guides for Team Deathmatch, and I will leave you a link to that video in the description. It's pretty important that you go and check that out first, because it does introduce a lot of knowledge about the spawns and how they behave in Team Deathmatch. Also, if you're looking to learn about more specific spawn points, then make sure you check out the rest of my spawn guide series, because I cover all of the spawn points in great detail throughout that series, and it'll definitely be helpful to this drill. It's not necessarily needed, but it will be very helpful. So let's get into the drill. Alright guys, so before we get into the actual setup for this drill, I just want to explain that this drill is going to be much different than a lot of the other drills. So the other drills I've done, which are like improving your accuracy or your reaction time, those are things where you're basically working to do things on a subconscious level. You're trying to develop a rhythm and everything is basically just going on subconsciously, and you want to develop that in your brain. For the drill we're doing today, this takes a lot of conscious effort and a lot of conscious thought, and you really want to be focusing throughout this entire drill. So let's get into the setup for this. So obviously this is a Team Deathmatch spawn prediction drill, so we're going to be playing Team Deathmatch in a private match. Now we want to choose whatever map that we want to work on. I like to play on the maps that I have a little bit of problems with spawns on, so maps where I just can't quite predict the spawns as well as others. I don't want to work on the maps that I already know like the back of my hand as far as spawns go. So for this one, just to make it a little bit easier to demonstrate for you guys, I'm going to pick Octane. I am very comfortable with the spawns on here, but that will help me sort of demonstrate what I'm doing throughout the drill. Next, we want to set the time and the score limit to unlimited because we don't want the game ending right away. Now we want to make sure the radar is always on, and we also want a respawn delay timer of 5 seconds. And by the way, I will be explaining all of the reasoning behind this at the end of the video, so if you have any questions about that, then make sure you watch all the way through. Now for bots, I like to use 3 versus 3, and I want all of the bots to be set on recruit, both your team and the enemy team, and this is very important to have them on recruit. For a class, you can really use whatever you want, but I recommend having something that's really mobile because you are going to be rushing around quite a bit and trying to predict spawns like that. So I definitely recommend using an SMG or an assault rifle, and then I also highly recommend using agility as well as marathon. Anything else is really up to you. Alright, so now we're ready to get into the drill, and it's actually really simple to explain. It just takes a lot of thought and effort, like I said earlier. So all we're going to be doing throughout this drill is we're going to run around and kill enemies. And while we're doing this, we want to pay very close attention to the mini-map, and more specifically, we want to be paying a lot of attention on where our teammates are located and how that is affecting where the enemy team is spawning at. We do want to be focusing a little bit on the enemy team's dots, but you have to remember that that is not going to be in a real game, at least not all the time. It's more your teammates that you're going to be able to see. So you're basically just confirming where that spawn is by having the radar always on and seeing where the enemy pops up. Now the whole purpose of this is you should be able to sort of start seeing some patterns with the spawns on that particular map based on where your teammates are positioning and how you're moving around the map and how they're moving around the map. And you should also be not really worrying too much about the exact spawn points and trying to predict exactly which spawn your enemy is going to spawn at. More so, you just want to be predicting the area that your enemy is likely to spawn at. If you're able to predict the right corner of the map that your enemy is spawning in, then you definitely have some pretty solid spawn knowledge. Some of the things you really want to be looking for throughout this drill are basically how much you and your teammates are able to push into a spawn zone without flipping it, and also when the spawns will actually flip. So these are all patterns that you'll begin to recognize in certain areas of the maps, and these will be different for every area on every different map. So this is why I highly recommend trying this on multiple maps, and definitely the maps that you struggle with. Now that's pretty much the drill. If you just do this over and over and over again throughout different zones of the maps, try and push the spawns out and make them flip to other zones, and then play around in those zones for a little bit, kill the enemies without trying to flip them, and then try and flip them again. If you play around with that enough, you'll definitely start to develop sort of that pattern recognition, and things will become subconscious in your brain. Your brain will handle all of that subconsciously because you've put it through those situations so many times. So when I play Team Deathmatch on most maps, I don't even consciously think like the enemy team is spawning over in this corner. My brain is just telling me that's where I have to go if I want to find enemies. It really helps with that, and this drill, it definitely accelerates that spawn knowledge. I didn't use this drill to develop this spawn knowledge. I kind of did it the long way of actually playing in real games, so this drill definitely helps accelerate that process. One thing that I want to mention before we wrap up the actual drill part and get into the explanations of why things work and why I set things up the way I did, is while you're doing this drill, don't forget to work on your accuracy as well. We don't want to be developing bad habits with our accuracy while we're trying to predict spawns. We want to really reinforce good habits, and good habits are not missing any shots or missing very few shots. You will be playing against recruit bots, so you do have a ton of time to line up your shot, so make sure it's on target. So that's the drill. Now I want to sort of explain why I chose what I chose, because I anticipate that a lot of people will be questioning some of my decisions as far as setting this drill up. So first, why did I add a 5-second respawn delay? The reason for this is pretty simple. When you kill an enemy, that now gives you that 5 seconds to kind of predict where he's going to spawn, instead of him just instantly popping up before you can even process what's going on. The second thing you might be wondering about is why do we have the radar always on? And I sort of explained this earlier already. You want to be able to see where they're actually spawning in relation to you and your teammates in real time, instead of just where they're coming from. But once you do start to get comfortable with that particular map, I recommend going through this drill to sort of test your knowledge and go through this exact same drill, but turn the radar off so that you don't see the radar at all. If you're still able to predict the spawns without seeing them on the minimap, then you're definitely ready to apply this knowledge to real games. Now finally, a big thing that I anticipate people will be wondering about is why do we only have 3 versus 3 as far as bots go, and why are those bots on recruit? Well, it's actually pretty simple. I played around with different numbers of bots, and if you have too many bots, then it's too much for your brain to actually process as far as killing the bots and staying alive, and you won't have time to really focus on the minimap. So you might kill one bot, and then you have 2 other bots to kill really quickly, and then another one to worry about. And while that's all happening, then the first bot you killed is already spawning in, and you haven't had time to actually think about where he's going to spawn. And it just kind of defeats the whole purpose of the drill. So 3 bots I found to be perfect for the enemy team. And then for your team, if you have too many bots, then they'll basically just be flipping spawns all over the place because they'll be pushing with you. And they're also going to spread out all over the map and make it a little bit more difficult to predict the spawns. And if you have too little as far as the friendly bots go, then it's kind of hard to really predict where the enemy team is going to spawn because you leave too many gaps and too many places for them to spawn. So you want to have a solid base of teammates behind you while you're in the spawn, and you can also use those teammates to push up and flip the spawns and see where they're going to spawn based on your teammate's location. And finally with that, recruit bots. The reason we're using recruit for the enemy bots is we don't really want to have to think about gunfights. We want them to be very easy. You shouldn't really be dying at all in this drill. Maybe there's the odd time where you slip up or something like that. But it should be really easy gunfights, and your focus should really be on the spawn locations. As for your teammates, you would think maybe you don't have to worry about them so much and their difficulty level. We want them on recruit so that they're not pushing really aggressively, because the harder level bots will typically rush a little bit more, and they'll also be really destroying these recruit bots because you do have recruit bots on the enemy team, and you want to be the one that is actually killing them and trying to push spawns around. You want to be the one manipulating everything. You don't want your teammates to be doing that. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you guys are interested in seeing a domination drill for this, then let me know in the comment section below. I do have a domination drill set up, and there are a few things that are quite a bit different, but for the most part, it's almost exactly the same drill. I could share that with you guys though, if you guys let me know in the comments and I have enough people that are asking for it. So if you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.